In 1917, the U.S. Radium Corporation was in the business of creating clocks whose dials glowed. The glow was a product of radium discovered in the late 1800s. Because World War I was raging in Europe, they hired young women to paint the dials. To save money on paintbrush replacement, they asked women to lick the tips of the brushes so that they would keep their pointed shape. But what the young women, including Grace Fryer, didn't know, but U.S. Radium did know, was that radium was a killer. Radium Girls, Time for Workers' Rights by Katrina. Who knew that I'd be here, at a radium factory, painting the dials on watches? And it's patriotic. Our soldiers in the trenches wear watches just like these. You know, my mom always said that I had to stay home and be a housewife. But here I am, Grace Fryer, making my own money. And with my husband out at war, I need the extra money in my pocket. I make 8 cents a dial, and on a good day, I can paint 175 dials. You know, I was thinking, this wouldn't be too bad to put on my nails. It would give my friends a surprise. They probably haven't seen a paint like this before. It glows in the dark, and it's completely harmless. It's called a dark paint. They should use a darken more things. America was in love with the rare white metal discovered by Marie Curie. The women were told that it would put a glow in their cheeks. Doctors suggested it from everything from arthritis to impotence to senility. Some even claimed that the miracle element was a legendary fountain of youth. In 1920, Grace Fryer left the U.S. Radium Corporation to become a bank teller. And then her teeth started falling out. Catherine Shaw, you remember her. We used to work at the Radium Corporation together. Oh, we used to race painting those dials. Of course, my steady hand always outpainted her. Anyway, she saw her doctor this week. She's got a lot of the same problems I do. Her back's not as bad as mine, and I sure am beating her in lots of teeth. But what's hard to hear is that my doctor thinks that our illnesses has something to do with our work at the Radium Corporation. I got a call today from a doctor named Frederick Flynn. He's from Columbia University, so he must be smart. Well, he had examined me and my friend Edna Hussman, who also used to work at the corporation, and said we were both in perfect health. I just don't understand. I feel terrible. My teeth are falling out. Perfect health? Frederick Flynn had no medical license, and his background was industrial toxicology. He had been hired by the U.S. Radium Corporation to help cover up the women's illnesses at the plant. Indeed, the corporation had known from the beginning that the working conditions were unsafe, and they had actively worked to suppress the information. I couldn't believe it when I found out. Why, in September 1925, a research study published in the journal American Medical Association linked our illnesses to radium poisoning. I got a call from Catherine Wiley. She's from the Consumers League of New Jersey. She told me that the corporation knew that they were making us sick. She took that information to the Nationals Consumer League, and they helped me get a lawyer, Mr. Raymond Berry. I guess it also helped that Walter Lippmann of the New York Press took up our case. Listen to what he said about us. It is unmanly, unjust, and cruel. This is a case which calls not for fine-spun litigation, but for simple, quick, direct justice. Now Mr. Berry's filed suit against the corporation, and I'm to testify today with 4 other women. Catherine Shaw, Edna Hussman, and the sisters, Quinta McDonald and Albina Larice. On May 18, 1927, 7 years after Grace had left the U.S. Radium Corporation, the case was filed. The justice that the women were looking for took a long time to come. U.S. Radium kept delaying, hoping that the women would die before the trial began. Walter Lippmann of the New York Press said, To dispute whether the woman will live for months or for years while lawyers wrangle over technicalities is to make this case more stupendously horrible than ever. In June 1928, the trial began. I'm sorry, Your Honor. I'm physically unable to raise my hand to swear to tell the truth. I live with the pain. I know that because of radium, I will not grow old. I will not see my children grow up. I worked at U.S. Radium from 1917 to 1920. I painted watch dials. Our instructors even told us to point the brushes with our lips. I think I painted and pointed mine about 6 times every dial. It didn't taste funny. Didn't have any taste at all, really. And I didn't know it was harmful. But the corporation knew. They knew from the beginning that undark paint was poison. They hired Dr. Drinker from Harvard, and he told them that the working conditions were unsafe. He said that the dust samples collected by the workroom chairs were all luminous in a dark room. Our hair, hands, faces, necks, dresses, even our corsets were all luminous. Edna's back was luminous almost to her waist, and I had spots on my thighs. And it was all poison. It caused our bones to soften and break, our teeth to fall out, and cancer to grow. We are dying. We are all dying. And I live for now, knowing that my children will grow up without a mother. U.S. Radium took that from them. 1928, the trial settled out of court. U.S. Radium accepted no liability, but agreed to pay the women a lump sum of $10,000. They also agreed to pay an annual pension of $600 and to pay for their legal and medical expenses. U.S. Radium said that the case settled not because the women were poisoned by radium, but because it could not get a fair trial. Dial painting became much safer over time. Lip pointing was forbidden, and they were encouraged to wear hairnets and to use rubber gloves and fume hoods. The suffering and deaths of these women greatly increased the world's knowledge on the hazards of radioactivity. It motivated atomic bomb workers in the 1940s to take safety precautions they might not have taken otherwise. It helped lead to labor law in the U.S., changes to work and workers' compensation, and for the creation of radiation safety standards. As workers, we had the right to safe working conditions. U.S. Radium had the responsibility as our employers to help keep us safe by listening to their own experts like Dr. Drinker when he told them that the working conditions were unsafe. In the end, we were able to prove U.S. Radium wrong. Our situation calls for the Nationals Consumer League to help do investigations on other dial painting factories. A conference was held on radium factory safety standards. In the end, my friends, and ultimately I, died. Our fates had been sealed the moment we dipped our brushes into the radium paint and pointed the bristles with our mouth.